is quite challenging to do a bunch of clips at the same time, especially if you're color grading log footage. Today I'm going to be color grading this. This is before and this is after. So as you can see, the aim and purpose of this thing is to have all these images looking the same. So if I play them, even though they were not shot from the same location, but they still look like they belong in one video, right? So that's basically what I want to achieve with this particular look. Clips right here in the timeline, I have switched to the color page of DaVinci Resolve. Basically, I have one that I shot here a while ago, a real estate event in New York. I have a bunch of them like that, and then I have this one that I did of my son playing at the backyard, and I also have this of myself. Then I have this one I did at the train station. So I'm going to color grade the 4 clips and then give it a particular stylized look, if you will. I'm going to build up a 3-node system for this color grade. So the first one I am going to call it exposure, white balance, contrast, yellow. So we're going to give our overall look that yellow tint. I really like that effect. Basically, once I have the nodes set up, this is the same thing I'm pretty much going to use for the rest of the clips. Maybe I come here, highlight the 3 of them, and then I'll do Command A to copy all of the clips, and then I would right click on one of them and say, so I'll say add into a new group right there. I'll call it my yellows. Sounds funny, but that's what I will do. The reason I'm doing this is to be able to copy all the 3 nodes onto my other clips so I don't do the work twice. I will select all of them again and right click on the first one and say apply grade. Now that's going to copy all of my nodes onto the rest of the clips, as you can see here, so that I don't do that work all over again. Okay, so take note of that. I'll take care of this first one. My monitoring tool here will be RGB Parade. So I will click on this first page here so that I will have access to these tools. So what I want to go is the curve page. Are you following so far? The curve, this is our exposure. So we have to come back to the exposure. We take it from here. We go back to our right node for exposure. We take the curve from the bottom here and pull it in right there and park it there. When I'm actually pushing these colors here, I keep my eyes on the RGB Parade right here so that I don't crush my shadows. Okay, so you might want to take note of that. As you can see, I just put it right on top, barely hitting 0, and then I come to the highlight here, I pull to the top, I make sure I'm just slightly above 600, and then I park it right there. As you can see, if we toggle here, we see before and after. That's my log right there. And then if I toggle, this is what we have achieved so far. Now the next thing I want to do is to do the white balance. So when I do the white balance, I do the auto white balance because, you know, I'm trying to do this one real quick. I don't want to waste so much time. I mean, if I wasn't talking to the camera, I would have already been done. Now we click on this particular page right here, this tool that will reveal this particular eyedropper tool here, and this will help us automatically correct the white balance. Now what you should remember is that it's always best practice to get your white balance correctly as you're shooting. When I was shooting this particular video, I did my white balance right on site. However, you still want to double check and be sure that your white balance is correct in post, you know, before you move on to the rest part of the color grading segment. I will click on the eyedropper tool right here and then look for a white spot. So there's some white spot on his chest here. Okay, so as you can see, that automatically corrects it right there. Let me reduce it. So if I toggle here, you can see the difference. I'll be satisfied with that. It's corrected. So now the next thing I'm going to do is to add a little bit of contrast to it. Usually I don't do the contrast too much. Maybe like 30 would do. If I come to edit here, check how we've done with this image. You can already see how good looking it is. All right, I'll go right back to the color page. So the next thing I want to do is to apply the yellow tint. So I will come to this particular page here and take the gain and shift it towards the yellow axis. So that will give us our nice yellow tint. I try not to do it too much. And then since we still have a bit of room for the shadow, I will reduce the gamma, make it darker a little bit. All right. So basically, if you like, to your preference, you can even increase it some more so that you get a bit of the yellow in. Well, this is what I would do. I think I'm happy with that. If I zoom into my image right here, I think I pretty much like what I have done with this image. I mean, there are so many directions you can take color grading this particular image, but I think I'm pretty satisfied with this one. There's one more thing I like to do. At this time, I think I'm happy with this image, but when I have that thing where the blacks are not completely black, maybe the blacks are looking a little bit muddy, this is what I do. I simply just add one more node, and then I probably will call it something like shadow so that I will know where it's at or what I use it for. So I will come to curves here and then go to luma versus saturation. I will put a spot here and simply bring down this thing here. That will ensure that my blacks are completely clean from any kind of artifact. You know, if you notice the shadows right here are a little bit cleaner. So I am going to just go into the next clip right here. I'll go to the next clip. Quickly, this is my boy playing at the back here. I did this so that I will have the opportunity of doing an outdoor clip with this particular style of color grading or technique, if you will. So here I have the clip. Come back to my RGB curve. So I'll click on my exposure node. I'll take the RGB. I'll pull this back. I'll bring this up here. Don't forget, watch that thing right there, the top, so you are not clipping in the highlights. All right, next I'll do my white balance. I may not need to do white balance. I pretty much nailed that white balance, but I will still look at it, best practice at. I'll take this, probably go for the sky, just to be sure that my contrast for contrast here, I would like to pull back a little bit and then maybe do a little bit of saturation, 60, and then I'll do my yellow. I'll take the gain, push it to the yellow side, and then push this down a little bit. Maybe I'll go back and increase exposure some. I will do my, I'll come back to the curve and probably pull down the curve, the shadow a little bit. So I move to the next exposure, my curve right here. I mean, as you can see, I am flying through it now. Before, after, white balance. I look for something white here. So before, after. Then I'll give it a little bit of contrast, a little bit. Go to yellow, gain. Then I'll drop the gamma a little bit. The last one, which is the train, we'll come back to exposure here, curve, the lower side of my RGB curve. Pull this one back to expose that image really nicely, like that. Let's pull back this down a little bit. Maybe give it some more. I'll park it right there. And then I move to white balance. Pick the eyedropper tool, look for something whitish. You can guys see something whitish here. Yeah, so before, after. And then I will do contrast. I don't think I want to do much of that contrast. I think this shadow here is too dark. Maybe I'll leave it there. And then move to yellow, give it some yellow, a little bit. And then I'll reduce the gamma. So this is what I stopped by here to share with you. If you like what you've seen so far, I'm just practicing. I'd like you to subscribe, like this video. This is Sam. Until another video, always remember that the best time to create is now. Peace.